share owner. Okay. All right. So how'd this go? It went pretty well, I think. For starters, there were close to 1,000 people in there. I think most of them are Monsanto employees who own stock, so they're entitled to be there. Hugh Grant, the CEO of Monsanto, immediately cornered me as I walked into the room. They are incredibly interested in dialogue. This is what they wanted us to know. That they're open to talk to us. They're happy we're here. They're happy you're all here. They think dissent is important. They actually said that. They always say that. But I got that song and dance. I was escorted by a public relations professional from the moment I got in there. I didn't have my ID, which I needed to have, so I had to run back out to get it. The meeting, they showed us, I'll just go through the meeting. They showed us a video first of all their accomplishments for the last year, really touting the increase in sales of Roundup Ready crops. It was actually, I wanted to throw up a number of times. It was pretty rough to watch this video of smiling, happy Indian farmers growing BT cotton.
Yeah.
You know, it got me thinking that they are really using propaganda on their shareholders now, because they should include in there the fact that there have been thousands of suicides by Indian farmers who have lost their livelihoods due to this business model that they're presented with. They had 5 resolutions on the proxy. The first 4 were disposed with in, I'd say, 5 minutes. I mean, it was like boom, boom, boom. There was no discussion on executive pay. There was no discussion on employee compensation. There was no discussion about Deloitte being their accounting firm. The only thing that brought discussion was our resolution for GMO, for a report to be produced on GMO liability for the company. I got up, I gave my remarks, which many of you have already heard. They were respectful, to say the least. Afterwards, Hugh Grant, the CEO, responded with his own prepared remarks. And he was not prepared to respond to my remarks because he was expecting me to talk about the resolution. So his remarks dealt with why it's redundant for the company to do any more studies, because they already look at liability and potential risk. That hasn't stopped them, clearly, in bringing GMO crops all over the world, and as well as contaminating organic crops. So there was a question and answer session after they released the results of the vote on the resolution. It got, get this, 5.37% for, and the remainder 95% against. Now, I actually was encouraged. I was expecting like 1 or 2% for. So there were at least 5% of the shareholders of this company.
That's like 50 people?
Well, I'm not people didn't vote there. Only one person actually voted on site. Everyone else had already mailed in their proxies. So really, this was a vote that they had the results already. They just had to quickly add in one more person. So yeah, the resolution did fail. We were expecting that. But actually, the 5% of their shareholders are thinking. So I think that's kind of positive. The best part of it was that there was a chance for asking questions of the CEO, of Hugh Grant. And first, there was a woman who works on clean water issues in the Missouri and Mississippi River Basin. She had complained, she's a nun, she had complained that she's been coming to these meetings for 10 years, and they've been talking about the same issues for 10 years about nitrates and other pollution that's in the waterways that is harmful, and that these levels of nitrates have not gone down in 10 years. And her question was, why isn't Monsanto working on biotech crops that reduce the need for chemicals to be dumped on them? Isn't that sort of a benefit? Wouldn't that be a benefit to see a reduction in chemicals? And she asked that question. And Hugh said, we're making a major initiative to reduce the amount of water that we use in agriculture. And he really just bypassed the whole runoff question altogether and went straight to, we're going to grow drought-resistant corn, and we have a new product coming on this year for drought-resistant corn. So it was very much a rah-rah. We've got that problem solved, you know. Then it was my turn to get up. And I actually waited. I wanted to see if there were any other questions from anyone else out of the whole room. And there was no one else asking. I mean, not a single person besides the two activists in the room was willing to ask a question. Either people are terribly afraid of this man or of this company. I think most of these people were employees who have shares, so they have a right to be there, but none of them. No one had a question. Nothing. Not even a friendly question. Just like, let's get out of here. Let's get this over with as soon as possible. So I got up and I said, look, from my remarks, as you know, I was focused very much on this labeling issue. And I want to know, what is Monsanto's position on the FDA requiring genetically modified foods to be labeled? And assuming that if the position is you're against it, how much money is this company going to spend this year fighting politically in California and in Washington and elsewhere where there are efforts underway legislatively and through ballot initiatives to bring about labeling? What is this company going to spend to fight labeling? Because I think that's something a shareholder should know, right? How many millions of dollars I asked how I phrased it. How many millions of dollars are you going to spend fighting the activists, fighting the environmentalists? And what kind of answer do you think I got? I got a non-answer at first. The answer was, we're really concerned about, perception of our company. There's a lot of people out there who just want to ban biotech, ban GMOs. We don't think those people really understand there could be some benefits. And he tried to portray me as someone who wants to ban GMOs when my question was actually about labeling them. It wasn't about banning them. And they're so stuck in this messaging from 10 years ago that they're used to fighting people who just want to ban them, that when someone actually comes with a reasonable thing, well, don't we have a right to know what's in our food? It's like, it doesn't jive with their rhetoric. So he went on for a good 5 minutes about how we believe in coexistence, we think farmers know how to protect their crops from pollen drift, blah, blah, blah. And I finally, as he finished, I was still standing at the microphone, and I said, well, I don't think you really answered my question. My question is this company going to support labeling of genetically modified foods or not? And if you're opposed to them, what are you going to spend to fight the political effort? At that point, the shareholders, I think, in the room were realizing that I saw right through his non-answer. I got a lot of people turning their heads and looking back at Hugh, and you really had to look at facial cues to understand what was going on because nobody was speaking at this meeting. And he said, okay, well, we're not the only ones who make GMOs. He says, we need to talk to the other companies that make GMOs, and we need, as an industry, come forward with a proposal that we all agree on before I can say that we support labeling or not. And he mentioned General Mills is a company that he wants to talk to. So they can't do the right thing unless everybody does the right thing. And that sort of flies in the face of their idea that they're a socially responsible company. Because if they're socially responsible, they do the right thing no matter what anyone else says, they would do the right thing. But what was clear from his response was he was not comfortable saying we're opposed to labeling. And he's not comfortable saying how many millions of dollars in shareholder potential profit is going to be spent fighting this issue. So I feel like we've got them in a position now where if we keep this pressure up, they are going to have to react to it. And then afterwards, this was probably the most interesting, the entire executive team came up to me, congratulations, shaking my hand, you made your points and you were respectful and we appreciate that. They're very concerned that I was going to dump blood or something in there. They really thought that I got the full pat down. I said, I've got nothing on me. I told them as I was going in, I said, I give you my word that this is just me reading my testimony. I give you my word and I stand by that. And I think that just going forward and actually keeping your word helps build trust. It's actually good for our movement. And anyway, I was bombarded with questions by the executive team afterwards, giving me scenarios about, well, pollen drift is really not something that's our concern. It's something that, the organic farmer has to protect himself from that. And the organic farmer, he gets certified, and so he can't lose his certification from pollen drift. And I said, that's completely false. As soon as it's clear through a simple field test that this crop has genetically modified genes in the crop, in the seed, in the plant, they lose their certification. Now, are you going to pay for their crop loss? Are you going to pay to get their certification back, which will take 3 years of inspections? And I was talking to their chief legal counsel, what's his name? Oh, geez. Anyway, it was the chief legal counsel for Monsanto. I have his name written down. He is. I think they realize that the writing is on the wall, and that was my message. It's like, you can't go against consumer attitudes forever. Eventually, the image of the company is going to really suffer if you don't take some reasonable steps for transparency and people's right to know what's in their food. So anyway, I feel like the CEO of this company heard directly from us. The shareholders heard directly from us. They are willing to continue to have dialogue. They're willing to entertain future resolutions, and I just think we have to keep fighting and keep engaging, and demanding the very minimum labeling, and so this was successful. I feel I feel pretty good about it. I actually feel like we got to them, and all the shareholders in there know that there was a demonstration out here, and yeah, I mean, I had a couple of people come up to me and say, I've actually got an organic farm, a hobby farm, and I kind of agree with you, and like walked away from me. So there were some people in there, some very wealthy people, I think, that are thinking as well, and it's not maybe the wisest thing to always paint everybody with a big brush that they're all bad, because there are some people in there that I think for the first time heard what they think is a very reasonable request on labeling. But everything I read to you guys out here, I read the same statement inside. And I'm just very proud of everyone who came out here today and stuck around. It feels good to come out and have this support out here. So thank you. And if there's all right. Label GMOs.